Today's third video is firstly, we have a new story from the Oromia region of Ethiopia where a protest has been held in a zone and the protesters condemned both Oromo Liberation Army and Amhara groups which have been involved in attacks in the area where this demonstration was held. Secondly, we know that in Ethiopia, cooking oil prices are rising. Now we have received some more information which indicates that in coming days, cooking oil prices could further increase, not only in Ethiopia but other parts of the world as well. Thirdly, an Ethiopian government official today leveled some serious allegations against Tigray, against Tigray's hospitals, against those aid agencies which are providing Tigray with medical equipment, medicines, and other healthcare items. And lastly, government says that it has foiled a plan to hit religious celebrations. Members of a band outfit, dozens of the members of a band outfit have been arrested. What were they planning to do? Where were they arrested from? What is the name of this group? Several questions. Firstly, viewers, locals have protested in Oromia. This is the first protest since the start of a military campaign against Oromo Liberation Army around 2 weeks ago. The protest was held in Bosat. Bosat is in East Shewa zone of Oromia, situated to the east of Addis Ababa. In East Shewa, Amhara border areas, we saw clashes between Amhara and Oromo militias and government forces a few days ago, in which more than 24 Oromia government security officials were killed. And in East Shewa, we know that Kareo Oromo elders were killed allegedly by Oromia government forces last year. So this zone, East Shewa, has been a relatively destabilized zone in the Oromia region. People protested in Bosat and they condemned both Oromo Liberation Army and Amhara groups, that both are enemies of Oromos. Question is, who was behind this protest? Was it government-backed protest? Some sources say that the protest was planned by the local government. Olan City is the mayor of the area, and reportedly he addressed the participants of the protest too. It was basically a government-planned protest in East Shewa zone against Oromo Liberation Army and against Amhara groups, Amhara militia members who have been involved in attacks, in cross-border attacks. We have not seen any large-scale demonstrations against Oromo Liberation Army in Oromia. Yes, we have seen some protests in the past as well. Secondly, a second news story is about rising cooking oil prices in Ethiopia. We know that oil prices have gone up tremendously in Ethiopia, other parts of the world as well. But the worrying thing is that in coming days, the prices could go up further. Ethiopia imports palm oil and palm oil fractions from Indonesia. In 2020, Ethiopian imports palm oil and its ingredients imports from Indonesia stood at around 186 million US dollars. These palm oil fractions are used for making cooking oil in Ethiopia. So Ethiopia was relying heavily on Indonesia, and reportedly Indonesia has announced that it is banning all palm oil exports. We have seen statements from the US, from some other countries. They are urging Indonesia to reconsider this decision. It could lead to further price hike of cooking oil across the world. Since Ethiopia has been heavily relying on Indonesia, that is why in coming days there could be more price hike of cooking oil in Ethiopia. Now, what is unfortunate is that Ethiopia produces oily seeds. Ethiopian cooking oil industry, it should be solely dependent on Ethiopian raw material. But Ethiopia is relying on Indonesian palm oil, and now when Indonesia is banning oil exports, it could be a problem for Ethiopia and for those countries who are depending upon Indonesia for cooking oil production. Thirdly, viewers, today an Ethiopian government official leveled some serious allegations against Tigray hospitals, Tigray health institutions, and those agencies which are providing Tigray with medicines, with medical equipment. Name of the person is Mitiko Kasa. He is the commissioner of Ethiopian Disaster and Risk Management Agency. He says, firstly, that there is shortage of medical equipment and medicines not only in Tigray but in other parts of Ethiopia as well. Why is that Tigray is politicizing this issue? So if we are seeing a campaign about shortage of medicines, shortage of medical equipment in Tigray, it has political motives. His second accusation is very alarming. He says that supply of healthcare equipment, medicines to Tigray has increased. By road, by air, supplies are being sent to Tigray, and these supplies are sufficient to meet the needs of Tigray's hospitals, Tigray's healthcare institutions. While sufficient supplies of medicines, healthcare equipment are being sent to Tigray, why is Tigray why is Tigray government, Tigray hospitals, why are they complaining that there is shortage of food? Because we know that 2 days ago, Reuters did a news story that more than 200 patients at the largest hospital of Tigray were sent home because the hospital did not have food to give to these patients. Mitiko Kasa says that sufficient amount of medicines and medical equipment is being supplied to Tigray. So either these supplies are being used for some other purposes. This is alarming what he's saying. He says that these supplies could be in use for some other purposes. Who is using these supplies for other purposes? He's not naming anyone. He says there must be investigation. The partners who are involved in supplying these medicines, medical equipment to Tigray, they should investigate this matter, and they should tell the world where are these supplies going, why is there a shortage of supplies, medical supplies in Tigray, while sufficient supplies are being delivered to Tigray. Lastly, he says that the complaints have political motives. Dr. Tedros Adhanom is politicizing this matter. Tigray is being provided with sufficient amount of medicines and healthcare equipment. Now it's up to Tigray government, it's up to the aid agencies, ICRC, WHO, other aid partners. They should clarify, is Tigray being provided with sufficient amount of medicines, healthcare equipment and other healthcare items? Fourthly, viewers, Ethiopian government says it has foiled a major plan to hit religious celebrations. Uh, an armed terrorist group was planning attacks on Easter and Eid celebrations. The armed group, its members were under surveillance for months, and security forces, with the help of information and security services of Ethiopia, they have arrested at least 34 members of the group. Name of the group is Al-Shabaab, which has been operating in Somalia, Kenya, Ethiopia, in border areas. The group is seen as a threat to the stability of this region of the Horn of Africa. Government says, Ethiopian government, that 10 members of the group have been arrested from Oromia, from RC, Bele, and Shewa zones, and 24 members of the group have been arrested from Somali region, from Afdar, Dolo, Jigjiga, and other parts of the Somali region. These arrested persons have links with some other actors, supporters of the group who are based in Somaliland and Kenya. The operation was launched by two regional forces, mainly Oromia Regional Force, secondly Somali Regional Force, but it had intelligence support of Ethiopian Information and Security Agency. Thank you for watching.